Okay, guys, it says that we are live, and I have new sound equipment, a new uh, microphone. So I just want to try this out and see if it's any better, if we have better sound quality now than before, hopefully. But what I wanted to talk about tonight, just to kind of test this out, trying to up my game a little bit. I keep telling people that if you want to get better in life, if you want to do new things, if you want to grow, that you have to step outside your comfort zone. And for me, for myself, technology is definitely one of those things that's far outside of my comfort zone. It's I didn't grow up with computers and cell phones and everything that people have access to now. It's very new for me. And in a lot of ways, I'm still not used to it at all. So this is just kind of me doing what I encourage other people to do and learn something new. Hopefully, this is an improvement. What I wanted to talk about tonight is something that I've only ever really seen this addressed in one book before. And it was a book by a man named Chogyam Trungpa, who was a Tibetan Buddhist who came to the United States. And he wrote a book called Cutting Through Spiritual Materialism. And essentially, what the heart of this book was about was back then, this was in the 60s and 70s when Buddhism was first coming over to the US and getting really popular. Back then, they didn't have, most people didn't know about magic yet. That was still really, really rare, still really fringe. But Buddhism was starting to make inroads into the US. And the problem was people started using it as something else to build an identity for themselves out of, something else to use to strengthen ego instead of to transcend it. And I've never really heard this talked about in magic that much, which was what made me write what I want to read to you tonight. It's a piece called The Seeker as the Sword and Hardship as the Forge. And what I tried to do is address some of the same things that Chogyam Trungpa did in Cutting Through Spiritual Materialism, but to a new audience, to the audience of magic, because this is something that I see not only, back in the old days in Buddhism like that, but I see it a lot in magic now also. So it's subtitled Why Real Alchemy Doesn't Happen on Instagram. There's a quiet epidemic happening among spiritual seekers. You see it in bookstores, where entire shelves groan under the weight of titles promising enlightenment in 10 easy steps. You see it in online communities, where people debate the finer points of planetary dignities or argue about whether their ancestors were Atlantean or Lemurian. You see it on Instagram, where aesthetics replace devotion. Photos of candlelit altars and geode crystal arrangements masquerading as evidence of a path. But real alchemy isn't pretty, and it isn't passive. It doesn't care about your bookshelf or your Instagram feed. It cares about your willingness to suffer transformation. I don't mean the suffering of indulgent self-pity. I mean the suffering that comes when you allow yourself to be placed in the crucible. When you stop intellectualizing your pain and instead walk straight into it, eyes open, fists clenched, ready to burn away what no longer serves your higher good. The truth is, many people who are drawn to alchemy, esotericism, or magic aren't looking to be changed. They're looking to be distracted. They're looking for fantasy, some hidden knowledge that will make them feel powerful or chosen or special, something that will lift them above the pain of ordinary life. And believe me, I get it. I really do. I've lived through hell. I know how seductive it is to imagine you can bypass it through secret knowledge or arcane symbols. For a long time, that was my escape too. When I was on death row, I read every book I could get my hands on. Hermeticism, Kabbalah, Thelema, Eastern mysticism, ceremonial magic. I created rituals. I invoked archangels. I worked with energy and light and sacred geometry. But none of that truly helped until I started to ground it, until I dragged it down into my body and asked, how does this change the way I breathe? How does this make me more present, more disciplined, and more alive right here in this cell? Because knowledge is not power. Practice is. You want transformation? You want the great work? Then you have to understand this, that alchemy begins the moment you stop performing spirituality and start embodying it. You don't need to post your rituals. You don't need a custom robe or a $300 crystal. You need a spine, a heartbeat, and a willingness to face your own resistance. Alchemy isn't about escaping the mundane. It's about transmuting it, transforming it. It's about standing in the middle of your anxiety, your anger, your grief, and choosing to work with it instead of run away from it. It's about doing one form, one breath, one act of service or self-discipline every single day, even when no one sees it, even when it's hard, and even when it hurts. It's about becoming the sword. What I mean by that is the sword is forged in fire. It's sharpened through repetition, and it's polished through humility. And lastly, it's wielded with presence, embodied presence, meaning you really have to pay attention to it. The real seekers aren't the ones chasing symbols. They're the ones choosing to stay when things get uncomfortable. They're the ones who breathe through the craving instead of numbing it. The ones who keep bowing, keep sweating, keep refining their own character. If you want to live like a mystic, then you have to start doing the work. You have to take care of your health. You have to make your bed, practice your forms, sit in meditation, even when your mind screams. You have to stop doom scrolling. You have to stop over consuming. Stop talking about transformation and start moving your body like someone who really means it. Every time you show up in this way, you strike the blade of your being against the whetstone of presence. Every time you act with intention instead of impulse, you become sharper, clearer, more aligned. And that's alchemy. That's real magic. True work is not, the great work. When I say true work, I mean great work. It isn't glamorous. It's not a highlight reel. It's sweat and tears and silence and sometimes a lot of boredom. It's being humbled over and over again and again. But it's also beauty. It's also peace. It's waking up one day and realizing you didn't spiral when you normally would have. It's walking into a room and realizing you're no longer pretending to be grounded. You actually are. It's your nervous system learning how to hold more power because you trained it to. It's joy earned, joy embodied. So if you're on this path, really on it, then I honor you. Not because of what you believe, but because of what you do. Because of how you keep choosing the fire. Because of how you keep showing up to the forge again and again. Because of how you're learning to become the sword. Not to cut others, but to cut through our own illusion. To pierce your own delusion. To move through the world with clarity, intention, and truth. That's the work. That's the way. And it's yours. Now you just have to pick up the blade and begin. Thanks for listening to me. I will be back with another video and another live stream soon. In the meantime, if you see this video and it speaks to you in some way and you would like to hear more, you'd like to get access to more writing, and you would like to join me on live streams to have discussions back and forth, please consider joining me on Patreon. You will find the link posted in the comments up under this video. Thank you so much for your time, your energy, your support, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care.